Hello, group one. This is a week 12 presentation, uh, and we will be discussing interpretation of Charles Payne's argument and what his argument was based on. Charles Payne's argument highlights the organizing tactics of the activists that were used to rally people to register to vote, as well as the many accomplishments of these civil rights activists. This lack of adults registered to vote led to the creation of the COFO. This group found alternative ways to encourage being registered to vote, and even mock trials to see how many people would vote, which ended in a good show-up. The way in which they went about it was quite ingenious because they used the younger generation to promote its adults, even though they were not so successful at first. In doing so, they also are preparing the future generation as well, because these kids will birth the future generation and pass on that knowledge that voting is important in society in order to accomplish certain goals politically and socially. His argument refers to voting percentages previous to the organizing and promoting of voter registration and the post-intervention results to support his argument. Payne's interpretation of the civil rights movement was different from most others because it was a non-violent approach. Source 9 refers to this by, it talks about the creation of freedom schools that by blacks, and this allowed blacks to see the effects of different educational focuses based on two different curriculums, and how that affected the children that were learning from it. In the freedom schools, the black kids were taught more about their history and where they're coming from, so it kind of uplifted them so they know where they need to get to, where they're headed to. In source 2, the SNCC uses a group work approach in which they were a checks and balance system in place similarly to democracy, which allowed them to see a bigger picture to their problems in order to come up with a better solution. The NCC noticed that getting an end to public segregation was just a surface goal, and putting an end would take getting rid of the underlying issues that came with it. In source 6, the black groups use another tactic where they use white participants so they would be taken seriously by the opposing white, and that the opposing white would be less violent because at many times they use young whites that their parents had quite a amount of influence or some type of affluent that the opposing white group wouldn't really necessarily want to attack or kill. So you can see that the tactics in which they went about it were quite ingenious, and that allowed them to accomplish their goals in this process. And that's my presentation.